Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Take Heart podcast. Mike preached a blinder of a talk on Sunday. If you didn't listen to it, you can check it out on the Soul Survivor Watford YouTube channel. But he was saying about during this season of struggle, lots of us, and I know I've been doing this, count our woes. And actually he was saying we want to also choose to count our blessings, and not just the physical ones that God has given us, but also the spiritual blessings that we have in Jesus. Like, the Bible is full of all this talk about what is ours now, the inheritance that we've walked into when we gave our lives over to Jesus. And so I just thought today we'd just count a spiritual blessing, one spiritual blessing that we can all cling to and come back to time and again. A little while ago I was in Asda and I went to one of those self-service checkouts, and I can never seem to get the items in the bagging area or whatever it is you're meant to do. So I end up with this flashing light above my head and this screen that just says approval needed. And I think that is quite a statement about the human condition. Maybe Asda didn't have that in mind, but that's what I thought about it when I saw it. This thing that for many of us, we walk around with the light flashing and the words approval needed written above our heads. I'd say actually every human being does this. And I think we see it when we're kids. And if you look at little children now, you can see their desire for approval and affirmation because they're so guileless and so innocent. They don't hide it. They'll just come running up saying, what do you think? Aren't I awesome? Have you seen what I've done here? You know, and they'll go on about all the stuff that they've managed to achieve during a day. And what they're looking for is affirmation. What they want is approval. And we can think, when we grow up, we don't do that anymore. But I've realised rather depressingly in my own life in the last few years that, man, I'm still doing that a lot. Maybe I've just become a bit more sophisticated and a bit less obvious about how I'm trying to get people's approval. But I do have my ways. You know, if you think about approval and love as like the sweets in a piñata, you know, there's like paper mache things that you have at parties. And we all come along with our stick. Now, we might have different sticks. So my stick is success and achievement. If I can just be successful, if I can just achieve, people will love me. That's how I can get their approval. That's what I try and get used to get it. Other people might have something else written on their stick, like good looks. You know, if I can just be really beautiful without the filter, or I don't know, Instagram or whatever it is. You know, if I can just get enough likes, then I'll be somebody. Or if I can just get ahead in my career, or if I can just have the quote-unquote perfect family, then people will approve of me and I'll receive love. We have a more sophisticated way of trying to get that approval now, but we're still seeking it. And in part, that's being a human being. We're made and designed for approval, to give and to receive approval from others. That's not a bad thing. It's part of being a human being. And yet where I've gone wrong sometimes is that I've constantly gone looking for it in people, when there is, in addition to some healthy, wonderful relationships, the relationship with Him. I'm finding it there. And these are days where I suspect I'm not the only person who's found myself at times feeling a little insecure. You know, some of those things that I would normally use, I think, to bolster my sense of worth, have been stripped from me. Sometimes it can feel like everybody else is zooming the entire world, you know, and I'm the only person who's left out. Sometimes the way I receive love is, you know, by being in a room with a person, and I'm not able to do that anymore, and so it can feel quite lonely, and all sorts of things can contribute to us feeling insecure, and we want to go to others for that, those who are close to us, and just have honest conversations and try, if we can, to be vulnerable. I know that's hard, but at the same time, we have this spiritual truth that we can meditate on. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4 says, "For He chose us in Him before the creation of the world, to be holy and blameless in His sight." Wow. Boy, is that a truth to meditate on. One of the things I love about that verse is it says, He chose us. When I started dating my wife, Beth, if you'd asked me how it was going, I would have said, man, it's going brilliantly. You know, I'm totally winning her over. I've cracked my 4 jokes and she thought they were very funny. I've tried to pay for everything because I know, you know, it's kind of chivalrous or whatever. And I'm trying to win her over, and I think it's working. I think I'm doing pretty well here. I'm, you know, totally in charge of the situation. And there was one thing that revealed to me something else was going on, and this is when I went to visit Beth at university, and she was cold one time, so I lent her my jumper, and then I, took it back with me to where I was at university, and I remember getting it out of the bag and putting it on, and it really smelled of Beth's perfume, like super strong. I couldn't work out what it was, and I kept saying to her, it really smells of your perfume. Oh, does it, Andy? Does it? She said. Anyway, like 6 months later, she confessed to me that before she'd given me this jumper back, she'd taken the jumper and poured like half a bottle of her perfume all over it. And then she'd given it back to me. And so at the time when I was dating Beth, if you'd said to me, how's it going? I'd say, it's going great. I'm totally winning her over, and it's all on what I'm doing and stuff like that. Now I look back and I see that she was spinning her seductive web of lies. And I was just this innocent little fly kind of buzzing along and got caught in her trap. I see now that I had a choice, but I never had much of a chance because she decided for me. She chose me. If you'd asked me, how did you become a Christian, Andy? I would have told you all this stuff about, I went to this event and I heard the gospel and I weighed up the evidence and this and that and the other, and I decided I'm going to follow Jesus. And that is true. It's absolutely my choice. But I look back now and I see his hand was at work in my life. And he was pursuing me because he'd chosen me. And here's the final bit. The same is true of you. He was pursuing you. That's why you know him now. Yes, you chose him 100%. But also 100% he chose you, and he came looking for you, and he came after you, just like he came after me. And here's the final bit that just gets me from this verse, right? It says, before the creation of the world, he'd already chosen. He'd already set his sights on us before the world was made. So for me, one of the things that says to me is I go looking for approval for my little achievements. One of the things it says to me is before I ever did anything, he'd already picked me. So how can I ever lose? How can I ever escape from his love for me, from his approval for me? Because it was never based on what I could do anyway. How could you ever escape it? Before the world was made, he picked me. That's something I want to try and meditate on, especially in those moments of insecurity, of fear of missing out, of loneliness. I want to meditate on the fact that my God loves me this much and he came for me. Have a good day. God bless you. See you soon.